Nobody saw this version of you coming. Not your friends, not your enemies, not even you. One day you were overthinking texts, lowering your voice to be understood, stretching yourself thin to prove loyalty to people who didn't even know the meaning of it. And the next something inside you snapped, or maybe it clicked. A quiet but final switch flipped. The you that once begged to be chosen no longer cared about being seen. The you that once carried guilt for other people's mistakes stopped apologizing. And when that happened, the room shifted. The hitmen, those who once studied your every move waiting for a weak spot, laid down their weapons. They knew this wasn't a fight they could win. The witches, those who whispered behind your back, cursed your name, and tried to hex your peace, found their power cut off like Wi-Fi in a storm. You didn't become cold. You became unreachable. You didn't become heartless. You became holy. And suddenly, your silence was louder than their noise. People asked, "What happened to you?" But they didn't want the real answer, because the truth is, life happened, pain happened, God happened, and the person who came out of that storm is not the same person who walked into it. This wasn't just growth, it was a rebirth, and the reborn version of you, that's the final boss in a game they were never qualified to play. They thought you'd stay soft forever, easy to reach, easy to use, easy to bend. But vulnerability taught you its lesson in the hardest way. Every betrayal, every lie, every midnight full of doubt carved something new into you. You didn't just heal, you sharpened. At first, they mistook your silence for weakness. They thought you had nothing left to say, but your silence was only the pause before the storm. The kind of silence that makes liars stutter, that makes manipulators sweat, that makes fake friends look away. You don't chase explanations anymore. You don't beg for apologies. You don't ask for closure. You became the closure. You became the answer. You became the lesson they swore they'd never have to learn. The old you would have argued, defended, explained. The new you doesn't need revenge because you are the revenge. You walk with consequences now, and the weight of that is heavier than anything you could ever say out loud. That's why the room changes when you enter. That's why whispers follow you. That's why eyes avoid yours, because they know, they feel it. The version of you that was vulnerable is gone, and the version that replaced it, that one is untouchable. You stopped explaining, you stopped defending, you stopped shrinking yourself just to be understood. Now you let people talk. You let them reveal their own expiration date. You let them spin their stories until the lies choke them. Your silence became the test, and most of them failed without even realizing it. Detachment doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you refuse to bleed for people who kept cutting. It means you finally understood the difference between being kind and being used. You don't raise your voice anymore. You don't clap back with anger. You don't waste hours rehearsing what you should have said. Now, one look from you says it all. One smirk, one pause, and suddenly they know their place. That's the new danger. You don't argue, you observe. You don't fight, you expose. You don't chase, you disappear. Your silence rattles louder than their noise ever could, because deep down they know the truth. They didn't lose your words, they lost your access. And once that door closed, it was sealed for good. The hitmen were the first to give up. The ones who tracked your every move, waiting for a weakness, waiting for you to slip. They retired their weapons because they finally realized there are no weak spots left. You turned every scar into armor, every wound into wisdom, every loss into leverage. Now they sit in silence, replaying the times they thought they had you cornered, and all they see is themselves losing. All they feel is the shame of underestimating someone who refused to stay broken. Then came the witches, the ones who threw shadows on your name, whispered curses into the air, and lit candles hoping to dim your light. But their spells fizzled out like a bad connection. Their rituals bounced back like unread messages. Their energy drained until they were left powerless, staring at the very glow they tried to destroy. You didn't fight back. You didn't have to. Your healing did the work for you. Your elevation cut their signal. And now they can't reach you. Not spiritually, not emotionally, not even online. The hitmen hang it up. The witches go offline. And you walk away glowing, untouchable, and completely unbothered. They thought breaking you would end you. They thought silence meant defeat. They thought absence meant you were gone for good. But what they didn't understand is that you weren't vanishing. You were rebuilding. You were collecting every broken piece, every forgotten fragment, every buried version of yourself. And instead of crumbling, you resurrected. This isn't a glow up. This isn't a phase. This is the real you, the version that no storm could wash away, no betrayal could erase, no witchcraft could touch. The resurrection wasn't pretty, it was bloody, gritty, lonely. You clawed your way out of nights where your thoughts screamed louder than any enemy. You stitched yourself together with prayers, with silence, with a kind of faith no spell could undo. And now you carry peace like a weapon. You radiate calm like fire. You move like someone who already survived the worst and came back laughing. That's why they fear you, because this isn't revenge. This is resurrection, and resurrection doesn't apologize for surviving. You don't live where they left you, not in the old cycles, not in the old wounds, not even in the same frequency. They keep trying to reach you with the same tricks, the same empty words, the same recycled drama. But the call doesn't go through anymore. Your signal changed. Your line is disconnected. They post their illusions, their highlight reels, their edited versions of the truth, while you walk around with nothing but raw power, divine timing, and peace too heavy to fake. Now your presence disrupts. It doesn't just enter a room, it shifts it. It cracks masks. It exposes lies. It makes people second guess their own intentions before they even speak. You attract differently now. Respect instead of crumbs, truth instead of noise, alignment instead of attention. And the ones who once had access, they feel the distance like altitude sickness. They scroll your page in silence. They whisper your name in worry, but they can't touch you because you don't just live higher, you vibrate higher. And the higher you go, the harder it is for them to breathe in your atmosphere, every lie they told, every rumor they spread, every time they tried to bury you, it all circled back. Karma doesn't forget, and neither did the universe. They thought they were clever, thought they were hidden, thought they were safe, but the energy they threw at you came back like a boomerang, and now it's haunting them in ways they can't explain. It shows up in sleepless nights, in restless minds, in sudden regrets that won't leave. It shows up in doors closing, in plans falling apart, in the quiet panic of knowing they lost someone they'll never replace. You didn't have to curse them. You didn't have to chase them. You didn't even have to speak their names. Life did the work for you. Meanwhile, your glow became their reminder. Your peace became their punishment. Your silence became their loudest echo. They see you rise and call it arrogance. They see you heal and call it coldness. But really, what they're feeling is karma. And karma wears your face now. You're not who you used to be. Not the soft version they could bend. Not the forgiving version they could exploit. Not the predictable version they could read like a script. Now you're unreadable, unreachable, unapologetic. You became a living boundary, a sacred firewall, a contradiction they can't solve. You're calm, but dangerous. Loving, but selective. Present, but untouchable. They call it coldness, but it isn't. It's clarity. It's knowing the difference between people who feed your soul and people who feed on it. And that new identity, it terrifies them because they no longer know how to approach you. The old tricks don't work. The old games fall flat. The old power they thought they had over you, gone. Access to you isn't automatic anymore. It's earned, it's rare, it's a privilege, and privileges once lost don't return. This isn't a comeback. This isn't revenge. This is ascension. The healed you is hazardous. The real you is unstoppable. The final form of you is something they can't predict, can't contain, and can't erase. You don't walk like you used to. You don't speak like you used to. You don't live in the same atmosphere they left you in. Now you carry storms in your silence and peace in your smile. You're the contradiction that keeps them awake at night, soft enough to love deeply, strong enough to leave completely. They thought they buried you, not knowing you were seeds. They thought they erased you, not realizing you were the page they couldn't rewrite. They thought they broke you, but all they did was build you. Now, every step you take echoes with their regrets. Every laugh you let out stings like a reminder. Every boundary you hold burns like proof that they lost access forever. You are not just healed. You are crowned. You are not just glowing. You are blazing. You are not just surviving. You are thriving, resurrected, unstoppable. So let them whisper. Let them panic. Let them scroll in silence. Because when the hitmen hang it up and the witches go offline, only one truth remains. You won, and you didn't win by fighting. You won by rising. You won by becoming untouchable. You won by becoming everything they said you'd never be. So walk in that victory. Live in that peace, and never forget, this isn't just your glow up. This is your final form.